the persistent challenge in the ongoing conflicts in Lebanon and Iran is the difficulty in documenting the violation in real time, especially where access is very limited. The narrative is being contested, and also the digital evidence is not present. So what practical mechanism should exist to ensure credible documentation of civilian harm in environments like Lebanon and Iran?
Again, I'd refer back to the South African case against Israel in the ICJ, where the evidence that the South African lawyers relied on came from journalists and civilians on the ground in Gaza. They were incredibly powerful. They were credible because they were captured. The footage was captured and it was uploaded to social media. So there is a record of it being authentic and happening, being viewed as it happened. So this sort of evidence is incredibly important. We also use that evidence. If the matter goes to a court, we use it for to draft witness statements, and again, that's incredibly powerful. So we also, the other mechanism is witness statements from medics, from medical personnel. We know that we have from around the world, we have amazing people who go and provide medical support in war zones, and their witness statements, the doctors, the medics, their witness statements are incredibly powerful and important. It's no accident, and it's not a mistake that they are trying to erase the voices of those who are on the ground, who could show us what's going on, as well as tell us what's going on. They want to erase those voices. They also want to erase, they want to erase history. What I know in Lebanon, even in Beirut, they had bombed a building that had birth certificates, and it held all sorts of very important information about the civilians. To me, that's intentional. That's to erase the fact that these people exist. It's not new. We've seen this in Gaza. We have seen also the killing of aid workers, and this is all very deliberate. And again, it goes to trying to cause terror among the people, and it's also terror throughout the entire world.
And going back to your legal expertise, what can human rights independent non-governmental institution play? What role can they play during this very dangerous and hectic situation?
From a lawyer's perspective, I would encourage, organisations who are NGOs, for example, to bring legal action before either the domestic court or the ICC. We saw a complaint filed by a Lebanese artist, Ali Sherry, I think his name is. He brought a complaint because Israel is accused of violating international law by targeting civilian infrastructure that killed multiple people. Sorry, I can't remember how many, but it included both his parents. These sort of actions are incredibly important. We also need to put pressure on legal institutions so that they can pursue accountability. Accountability is what's missing from the law at the moment, or the main issue missing. And we need to pressure our governments, we need to pressure legal institutions to try and pursue accountability. through the international courts. We need to bring more cases before the International Criminal Court. We need to bring, cases for repatriation. Iran is in a very strong position, and it's very cleverly raising money via tolls in the Strait of Hormuz, but some places like Lebanon cannot do that. So what I would say is there are legal mechanisms where you can bring action, civil action. And then there are organisations, NGOs, that can participate in investigation. The HRIUI Foundation, they do an amazing job. We can expand that. We can expand that to Lebanon. We can expand it to Iran.
What does the normalization of such patterns of harm mean for the future of credibility of international humanitarian law or international law?
This is a really difficult one. I do say that the law should work. The law says civilians need to be protected, for example, and this is, a paramount consideration, and it tells us we do have laws and they should work. It's the structure and how it's been set up in terms of enforceability that is the issue. We can never accept this as normal, and we can't accept that this harm is going to continue happening forever. What we need to do is we need a universal legal system that has accountability built in, and we need to protect it from political elements, political interference, political interests. We need to get rid of, for example, the veto power that the United States enjoys. Australia is going through a very difficult time in relation to free speech and protest rights and civil rights. At the moment, Australia is going through what I would say a lot of domestic turmoil. There is a move to try and outlaw any criticism of Israel, and that goes against the law. The law says that criticism of Israel is political, and you are entitled to do so. So I'm not quite sure how that's a political issue, and then that hurdle will need to be addressed. Then there's also our universities here. I have acted for many students who have been expelled or suspended because of their anti-war, anti-genocide position. And you would think that universities are the place to encourage young people to speak about human rights. These students have gone through, quite tough time, but we lawyers have been able to challenge the decisions and actions of the universities, and we have been quite successful. So that's also a hurdle. So for a university in Iran to collaborate with Australian institutions could be challenging. I won't be able to give you an answer of, which human rights groups you could collaborate with. But sure, the media, there are independent journalists who do really good work. And there's also, civil liberty groups that are doing excellent work in terms of the restrictive laws that have been passed. So look, there's potential, but there are hurdles. Unfortunately for Iran, it has suffered years of sanctions and Australian foreign policy alliance with the United States. So you would expect that they would be very cautious about, and I'm talking about government, I'm not talking about human rights organizations. I mean, there may be some great opportunities, and I'm sure there are. But I do think that, unfortunately, at this time, we do have an alignment with the United States.
Yeah. And thank you.
Which is causing a lot of internal issues,
Yeah.
by the way. Like, I don't know if you've heard, but in one of the cities of Australia, they have outlawed the chant from the river to
Yeah.
the sea. You can get 2 years imprisonment and globalize the intifada. Now, that's just the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. And as you would know, intifada is an Arab term for resistance, essentially. And they just don't like, I don't know, they just don't like our language, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much, Ms. Zaydan, for your participation in this interview.